With an Arizona win over Utah, the Wildcats can continue to climb up the rankings and possibly play in the Pac-12 title game. What needs to happen for that?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we've got a lot to get to this show. We are going to talk about Arizona and what needs to happen for the Wildcats to be able to beat Utah. And there is a lot of good things that need to happen there. But first, this show is brought to you today by PrizePicks, my friends. Let's find this little thing. PrizePicks. There we go. Found it. All right, now. Utah, I think you can make the case that Utah has been the I think it's been this. Let's just call it what it is. I think Utah has been the class of the Pac-12 the last 5, 6, 7 years, and a big part of that is Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham is absolutely the man. Not only is Kyle Whittingham the man, Kyle Whittingham is the dude who is able to. Forehead's itching. Kyle Whittingham is. You don't really have to look at rankings with him when it comes to recruiting. He's just going to get the players that fit his style, and he's going to get them in there, and they are going to work. Now, you look at the Utah owns USC, and they essentially it's kind of it really is kind of a throwback program in what they've been able to do. And this year is really no different. You're going to have a very strong physical team up front on the defensive and offensive lines. Both sides of the football are very, very good. They're also very tough. That is a big part of what they do, and they're not going to beat themselves. Now, the first part of the year, it looked like Utah was going to be very vulnerable against essentially anybody, and a big reason why was because their offense stinks, and not having Cam Rising was obviously a huge blow to them. Not only was losing Cam Rising a huge blow to them, it was also something that I don't know that a lot of people thought that they were going to be able to get past. But their offense now is on much, much better footing than it was at that point. And again, when you're Utah, you always seem to have a little bit of an ace up your sleeve, Mr. Kyle Whittingham. And Arizona's going to have to figure that one out. So Utah can now score. You got a new quarterback in there. Utah can score. But it's certainly not a dynamic, high-flying offense. And a big part of that, too, is that's never going to really be exactly what Utah does. They're going to look to control the clock, all of the general cliches about Utah and teams like that. That's kind of where they're at. So what does Arizona need to do? Big part of that is, first of all, Arizona has to continue, my friends. Man, forehead's itchy like crazy. Arizona has to continue, my friends, to score points, and not only to score points, but to be able to do it efficiently. Noah Fifita has done just that, and you got to keep it up. You're kind of wondering, and I think if you're an Arizona fan, you're kind of hoping that hopefully Noah Fifita's freshman game, if there was one, was against Colorado. And what's crazy about that is his freshman game still had no turnovers. That's where I think Noah Fifita is also kind of a next-level quarterback where he is unique. Because a lot of quarterbacks, if they are going to struggle, whatever the case may be, it's going to be 4 or 5 turnovers. It's going to be the Jedd and Delora type thing where you essentially you turn the ball over left and right, and not only do you turn the ball over left and right, you also have the spot where you also have a spot where you turn the ball over. It's basically the best way to put it. Noah Fifita so far has not done that. Not only has Noah Fifita not done that, There has not even come anything close to that. And against Colorado, he was able to rally the troops. And he was able to put the ball in the end zone when he absolutely needed to put the ball in the end zone. He's, like I said, he's a special player. He's a special talent. And if you're Arizona, you got to continue to do that. Again, another thing, Arizona's got to continue to run the ball. A big part of what Arizona has been able to do and why their success is they stay ahead of the chains. Now, I don't buy at all that Noah Fifita is a game manager, because quite frankly, I hate that term. The term game manager to me stinks, because now listen, there are certain game managers, and those kind of game manager, or if you know, I just don't like that term. Alex Smith in the NFL was a game manager. That is kind of the best way I could put it, in that he was going to look to check the ball down. He was essentially just not looking to turn the ball over, keep his team up, and make some timely plays. But he never was going to be the quarterback that when you were down, or when you were at when you needed Arizona to be able to, or excuse me, Kansas City or San Francisco, when you needed him to be able to come from 14 down. He was never going to be that dude. He just didn't have that. He just didn't have those capabilities. And again, there's nothing really wrong with that per se, but that's just kind of who he was. Noah Fifita is not that guy. And again, I keep hearing people talk about, game manager this, and, just don't mess the game up. No, he's a difference maker. Noah Fifita is the reason that Arizona is putting the ball in the end zone. And not only is he putting the ball in the end zone, he is doing it at a much, much higher rate and a much better success rate than Jayden de Laura is. It's really kind of that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's just really kind of that simple. And a big reason why is the receivers, obviously. If you're T-Mac, you got to continue to dominate. Jedd Fisch said that he thought that T-Mac was the best wide receiver in the country. I'm not sure that he's wrong. Now, I think a lot of people would probably say that Marvin Harrison Jr. is. And, if you say Marvin Harrison Jr. is, I don't really have a problem with that. I will not object to that. But T-Mac certainly is in that discussion. And whether the national folks or not know it, that is a different animal entirely. But T-Mac is certainly in that discussion. He got to continue to dominate. He's got to continue, when he goes out there, he's got to continue to be the best player on the field. And when he's the best player on the field, good things happen for Arizona. You saw that against Colorado. Travis Hunter, who is also one of the best players in the country at corner, couldn't handle T-Mac. Didn't have any ability to be able to cover him at all. Not only did he have no ability to be able to cover him, he also didn't have like on big plays when Arizona needed something to happen. Arizona essentially took those games over. Not only did, and a big part of that was T-Mac. Now, there are some other keys to this game, keys to Arizona victory that we need to get to. But first, PrizePicks, my friends. PrizePicks. Check it out. Here's the deal with PrizePicks. The great thing about PrizePicks is this. If you have a little bit of an inside information on something, maybe a little bit of a bird in your ear, something tells you that, something good is going to happen, make sure to say, all right, I think T-Mac's going to have over a touchdown today, or I think he's going to have over 0.5 touchdowns, whatever the case may be. PrizePicks is the perfect spot to be able to do that. Use code LOCKEDON for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. You will thank me later, ladies and gentlemen. Again, check it out. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we're going to continue to talk about what needs to happen. Arizona's also got to continue to be able to run the ball. Again, Jonah Coleman is kind of that locomotive who is, who's built thick, low to the ground, and can just kind of make plays happen and can run people over. Jonah Coleman is that dude. You always hear that term, that dude. Well, he's got to continue to be that guy. Not only does he need to continue to be that guy, he's got to continue to be the player that, gets you 4, 5, 6, 7 yards each time. Continue to do that. Again, he's a special talent. And as good as Michael Wiley is, we love Michael Wiley. Jonah Coleman is the back that if he gets the ball 16, 17 times, he's going to get you 100 yards. I want to continue to see that happen. And against Utah, I think that will happen. Again, it's going to be a little bit harder. This isn't Washington State's defense you're going up against or Colorado's. But Jonah Coleman has also shown, kind of like Noah Fifita, that against the best teams, he can step his game up. And he has certainly shown that. He, DJ Williams, and Michael Wiley all need to be big parts of what Arizona does. I expect the offense to perform well. I think that it will acquit itself very well, to be honest. And not only do I think it's going to acquit itself well, I think that Arizona's got to be happy with that. Now, defensively, Arizona, it would be nice to see force some turnovers. This defense for the Wildcats has become very good. Again, not really breaking any news there. This has become a very, very good defense. But you would always like in games like this, especially when you're playing against the class of the Pac-12, you would also like to be able to force some turnovers. And if you can force some turnovers, that makes life easier. Now, granted, if those turnovers do happen, Arizona has to be able to take advantage of those and punch it in the end zone. Punch it in the end zone right there. And again, Arizona has to be able to get after Utah's passing game. Big part of Arizona's strength this year has been the defensive line. And you got to give a lot of credit, again, to Jedd Fisch, to Johnny Nansen, and Dwayne Aquina, because this defensive line has been fantastic. And Taylor Upshaw, you'd like to see him maybe be able to get 10 sacks on the season. He's at 7.5 right now. Deuce Davis on the other side. Deuce Davis to the other side, along with Isaiah Ward. Those guys all got to be difference makers. But up front, though, Big Bill Norton. We need Big Bill Norton in this game to be a Big Bill Norton, to be a difference maker. And there's no reason why he can't. Big Bill Norton has shown time and time again that he can take up blockers. And not only can he take up blockers, that it is very difficult to move Big Bill Norton because of how big Big Bill Norton is. He's got to be big, obviously, pardon the pun. Then you got Kangaika, you got Uiagalelei, you got Manoa, you got all those dudes. That's a big part of Arizona's strength, though, is that they can continue to come at you in waves on the defensive line, something that hasn't really been the case. Tia Savea, another one. That's another thing there that Arizona has essentially been able to do that we haven't seen in years past. And quite frankly, I don't know that we'll ever see again. Well, I don't want to say that, but it's just unique. Then the DB's got to make plays. Tacario Davis, I challenge you this. If Tacario Davis is listening, he's not. But if Tacario Davis was listening, I don't need you to catch every interception, but try to catch a few. Because you've been very, very good this year. And if you had caught 20% of balls that have hit you right in the hands, you would probably be an All-American this year. Again, you've done very, very well. You and Ephesians Prize Talk can be big games for you. Dalton Johnson on the back end as well. But again, I would love to see some turnovers for us. I don't think that Utah is going to be able to move the ball up and down the field on Arizona. I think they'll probably get some points, but I also think that Arizona is going to be absolutely in play to be able to make some big time plays right here. And not only make some big time plays, to be able to, again, turn the ball over. Stop me if you've heard me say that before. That's kind of where we're at, though. Now, as far as a prediction, I think that Arizona is going to win this game. I think Vegas is finally kind of caught up to the fact that the Cats don't stink. And I think it took them a while, but a pick'em feels about right. But I think the Cats are going to win this game. I think the Cats, and it's weird to say this about Arizona when you're playing Utah, but I think the Wildcats are a little bit more dynamic. Colorado is very solid, obviously, but I think Arizona is a little bit more dynamic. I think the Noah Fifita legend continues to grow. Not only do I think the Noah Fifita legend continues to grow, my friends, I think that we get to the point where people start asking themselves, is this the best freshman quarterback, or is this the best quarterback from the 2022 recruiting class? Our good friend Tony Gimino put that out a while back, and after he stole it from me, but he did credit me, so it's not stealing. But I think he is. I think it's hard to make a case that Noah Fifita is not the best quarterback from the 2022 class, and I think he's going to continue to prove people wrong. I will bet against Arizona I would never bet against Arizona, but when Noah Fifita starts playing like a freshman, I don't see that one happening, though, friends. I really don't. I think that this dude is such a unique individual that it's that. I think that we're pretty much at the point where now where we have to ask ourselves, this is just kind of who Noah is. And again, we were Team Noah from day one. Not only were we Team Noah from day one, we were Team Noah, and we told everybody about it, that once he hit the field, he would not come off the field. And I think that is a big part of what Arizona is about to do out there. Okay, now we are going to get to a little bit of Arizona basketball. Now, Arizona basketball is in action today, my friends. If you don't know, the third-ranked Arizona Wildcats are in action. What are the keys to victory against a somewhat pesky Belmont team? But first, Athletic Brewing. All right. Athletic Brewing, use code LOCKEDON for 15% off your first order, my friends. Check it out, athleticbrewing.com. You will thank me later. Again, it tastes just like beer, and it tastes just like beer, and you can still, there's no alcohol in it. There's no of those empty calories. It's good. And I think that if you're saying to yourself, Mike, how could it actually taste just like beer? It does taste just like beer. I've tried it. I was given it a tap and bottle. I gave it an opportunity. I liked it. I sign off on athleticbrewing.com. Use code LOCKEDON for 15% off your first order. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, a little bit of Arizona basketball, my friends. A little bit of Arizona basketball before we sign off here. Arizona in action tonight against Belmont. This is a game that Arizona should win. Arizona physically should be able to outmatch about every single team that it plays. And not only should it be able to outmatch every single team it plays, just from an athletic perspective, from a size perspective, Arizona checks off all of the boxes. I think one thing that I'd like to see the newcomers continue to contribute. I think at this point, we know who Umar Ballo, leader of men, is. Kylan Boswell as well. We know who these guys are, and that's a good thing. But Caleb Love, you can tell that Caleb Love has been what Arizona fans wanted. But you can also tell that there's those moments of good and evil that go through Caleb Love's heads where you can tell that he wants to try to do something a little too much that might not actually benefit the team. You got to keep an eye on that. Just make sure that he plays within the game. But, man, I want to see more KJ Lewis in this. Now, KJ Lewis is a little bit of an issue because I think the more that KJ Lewis plays, the higher the possibility that he goes off, that he could possibly be a one and done. We do not want to see that. But granted, when you're Arizona football or Arizona basketball, it's always you always have a good situation in play because again, KJ Lewis, it would be replaced by Jamari Phillips. You got Carter Bryant coming in. I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see more of Paulius Morauskas as well. Paulie M. Paulie M is a rebounding machine. When Paulie M gets into the games, not only does Paulie M get rebounds, Paulie M pushes people around. He has been absolutely fantastic. And then Mount Crevis, obviously. These are dudes that are going to be kind of at the forefront of what Arizona does for the foreseeable future. All three of them big-time players. But again, Tommy Lloyd brought in a lot of good players, and in games like this, I want to see them continue to develop because you've got your 8-man rotation at this point. We already know about it. You got Kylan Boswell, you got Jaden Bradley, you got Pella Larson, you got Caleb Love, you got Umar Ballo, leader of men, Keyshawn Johnson, KJ Lewis, and so et cetera, and Mount Crevis. So, and KJ Lewis, obviously. get some of these other players a little bit more time out there. Again, I'd love to see Paulie M get in there because when Paulie M plays, Paulie M has been good. We're big fans of Paulie M on this show. And that's kind of where it's at, though, with Arizona. That's kind of where it's at with Arizona basketball to this extent. I think that the Wildcats are going to be very, very good. And not only do I think that they're going to be very good, I just want to continue to see more guys continue to get more players continue to get a little bit more read, a little bit more love, because again, this is even though Arizona's got its 8-man rotation, I think it's fair to say that you need to have a little bit more just in case, because again, these players can play. I'm not asking you to throw out Kirk Walters or somebody like that who just can't play at all, who has absolutely no capability of being good. These are some guys that can play. I'd like to see them continue to get a little bit more love, a little bit more action, a little bit more burn. But again, as we've talked about, this is a great time to be an Arizona Wildcat fan. This is, I believe, the best that Arizona basketball and football has been since the mid-'90s, back when Arizona won a national championship, was generally was in the Final Four every 3 or 4 years, and every 4 years had a top 10 football program. It is a great time to be a University of Arizona Wildcat fan. And again, that is a big tip of the cap to Dave Hickey, to President Robbins, everybody out there. All right. We will be back with you tomorrow, though, because Arizona takes on Utah. That's going to be obviously a big game for the Wildcats. We will have a little bit of a post-game reaction as well on all of that. But as always, thanks a ton for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. We will be back with you tomorrow. Again, post-game wrap-up, Arizona, Utah. But again, talk to you soon. And again, thanks for making this your first listen of the day.